There comes a moment in every seeker's journey when they realize that no matter how many techniques they try, no matter how many affirmations they repeat, and no matter how much effort they pour into visualizing a different life, the outer world seems stubborn, resistant, almost unmoving. It feels as if the universe is whispering back, "You cannot simply demand a new reality while carrying the old self into it." And that whisper, if you lean in closely, holds the secret you've been waiting to hear. Nothing changes until you do. Think for a moment about the way you've been living. Most of us move through life as if on autopilot. We wake up with the same thoughts we had yesterday, we feel the same emotions we felt last week, and we take the same actions we've always taken. It is almost as if the body is rehearsing a script that was written long ago, a play where the ending is always predictable. We yearn for transformation, but deep down we are still playing the role of the same old character. If the character doesn't change, how can the storyline evolve? The truth is that your identity, the sense of who you are, is the foundation of the reality you experience. Every thought, every belief, every choice is filtered through this sense of self. If you see yourself as unlucky, life will conspire to bring you more evidence of misfortune. If you carry the belief that love always slips away, you will unconsciously push it from your grasp. If your identity is tethered to fear, scarcity, or unworthiness, no amount of outer chasing can bring you true abundance. It's not because the universe is cruel, it's because reality mirrors back the energetic blueprint you are embodying. Imagine standing in front of a mirror and frowning, waiting for the reflection to smile first. That's what it's like to hold on to the old identity while demanding a new life. The mirror does not change independently of you. It waits for you to move, to shift, to express something different, and when you finally do, when you choose to smile, when you choose to embody a new self, the reflection has no choice but to follow. But here's the paradox that keeps so many stuck. Change feels uncomfortable. The old identity, even if it has brought you pain, is familiar. It's predictable. The nervous system clings to it because it feels safe in repetition, even when that repetition means suffering. Think of it like a worn-out coat, tattered, heavy, and outdated. Yet you keep wearing it because it feels familiar
on your shoulders.
To remove it feels almost naked, exposed, uncertain. And yet until you take it off, the new garment of your chosen reality cannot wrap itself around you. As you listen now, notice if part of you resists this truth. Perhaps your mind says, "But I've tried to change, I've said the affirmations, I've imagined the new life, and still nothing has shifted." Understand this: if the affirmation is spoken with the voice of the old identity, if the visualization is imagined from the perspective of someone who secretly doubts, the signal being sent out into the quantum field is still the frequency of the old self. It is like trying to tune into a higher channel, while your radio is stubbornly locked on static. The outer words matter far less than the inner identity from which they are spoken. So the first step, the true beginning of transformation, is not in chasing outcomes but in gently asking yourself, who am I being right now? Am I showing up as the same person who expects disappointment? Am I speaking as the same person who assumes they are unworthy of love? Am I thinking as the same person who believes abundance is always out of reach? If so, then I am still living in yesterday's identity, and yesterday's identity will only ever produce yesterday's results. This is not meant to be harsh, but liberating. Because the moment you see this clearly, you realize that you are not trapped by fate, by circumstances, or by the cruelty of luck. You are simply experiencing the echo of an identity you have outgrown. And just as easily as you put on that old garment, you can remove it. Just as quickly as you once accepted that false story about who you are, you can write a new one. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. You are standing at the threshold of two doors. One door is marked Old Self. Behind it is everything familiar: your patterns, your habits, your excuses, and your predictable outcomes. The other door is marked New Self. Behind it is the unknown, possibility, expansion, freedom, and the life you've been dreaming of. The catch is that you cannot carry your old identity through the new door. It is too heavy, too incompatible with what awaits on the other side. You must leave it at the threshold. And so the question becomes, are you willing to release what is familiar, even if it is painful, to step into what is unknown, even if it is extraordinary? This is the true invitation of transformation. Not a gentle tinkering around the edges of who you've always been, but a deep surrendering of the old self, so the new can be born. As you breathe into this truth, let it settle in your body. Reality does not change until you do. The outer world bends to the self you bring into it. If you insist on carrying the same identity, the same labels, the same limiting stories, then life has no choice but to reflect them back to you. But the moment you choose differently, the moment you embody a new self, not in theory, not in words, but in your felt being, then reality begins to reorganize itself in ways that seem miraculous. You are not here to keep replaying the old script. You are here to awaken to the realization that you are both the actor and the author, the mirror and the reflection. And when you dare to stop being the old identity, when you finally step across the threshold into the new, you will see what has always been waiting, a reality that matches the truth of who you have decided to become. Most people believe that reality is something happening to them, a force outside of their control, an external stage where they are merely the actor reciting lines already written. But what if the opposite were true? What if reality, as solid and unchangeable as it seems, is actually shaped moment by moment by the identity you hold? When you live from an old self, a self built on limitation, fear, or stories of the past, you unconsciously construct a prison. A prison so subtle that you forget it is even there, because the walls are made not of stone but of your own beliefs. Think of your life right now as a loop. Each morning you wake up and the mind immediately begins replaying the thoughts you carried yesterday. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is how things always turn out. These thoughts trigger the same emotions you felt yesterday: frustration, self-doubt, longing. Those emotions drive the same behaviors: hesitation, distraction, self-sabotage. And those behaviors reinforce the same outcomes, which become evidence for the mind to say, "See, nothing changes. This is just the way it is." And so the loop continues, not because life is conspiring against you, but because you are unknowingly conspiring with your old identity. The prison of the old self is seductive because it is familiar. It whispers, "Don't try too hard, it won't work out anyway. Stay here where it's safe, even if safe feels small." The mind is a master of recycling pain into predictability, convincing you that what is known, even if it hurts, is better than the vulnerability of stepping into the unknown. That is why people return again and again to relationships that drain them, to jobs that diminish them, to habits that numb them. The cell door is wide open, but the prisoner remains seated inside, convinced that freedom is dangerous. But notice this: your reality right now is not simply random. It is a mirror. Every experience, every pattern, every repeated frustration is reflecting back the identity you have chosen, consciously or unconsciously, to inhabit. If your identity is wrapped around the belief, "I am not enough," then reality will faithfully mirror the experiences that confirm your unworthiness. If your identity is tied to the story, "I am always unlucky," then you will continually find yourself in situations where luck slips through your fingers. It is not punishment, it is feedback. It is life holding up a mirror and saying, "This is who you are being." Consider the way water reflects the shape of a container. Pour it into a tall glass, and it rises long and narrow. Pour it into a bowl, and it spreads wide and shallow. The water itself has no agenda. It simply conforms to the shape it is given. Reality works the same way. It conforms to the shape of your identity. Change the container, and the water changes form. Change the identity, and the reality reshapes itself accordingly. The tragedy is that many never question the container. They believe their identity is fixed, that who they are is permanent, carved in stone by childhood, by society, by past mistakes. They wear their old identity like a badge. "I'm the anxious one. I'm the one who always gets rejected. I'm the one who can't hold on to money." These stories become so ingrained that they are mistaken for truth, when in fact they are just choices repeated so often that they hardened into habit. The prison bars are not real, they are made of thought, and yet the comfort of the old self is deceptive. For while it may feel safe in its predictability, it also guarantees stagnation. It guarantees that tomorrow will look like yesterday. It guarantees that dreams remain dreams, forever out of reach. Because to experience a reality you've never lived before, you must step into an identity you've never embodied before. The old self cannot take you to new places, just as an outdated map cannot lead you to a new land. Pause for a moment and reflect, what story about yourself have you been carrying that no longer serves you? Perhaps it is the story that you are too shy to be seen, too ordinary, too broken to be whole. These are not truths, they are cages. They are echoes of a past you've mistaken for the present, and as long as you cling to them, you will continue to create experiences that confirm them. It is uncomfortable to confront this because it requires radical responsibility. It means recognizing that the cycles you are caught in are not purely the fault of others, of the universe, or of chance. They are the natural expression of the identity you have agreed to live by. But take heart in this. If your old identity has created a prison, then shifting your identity can create freedom. If the old self has manifested limitation, the new self can manifest expansion. The very mechanism that has kept you stuck is the same mechanism that can set you free. Imagine someone who has spent years telling themselves, "I am the type of person who never follows through." That identity has shaped their reality, abandoned projects, unfulfilled goals, a constant sense of guilt. But the moment they begin to question it, what if that is not who I am? What if I am the type of person who commits, who finishes, who thrives? They are chipping away at the bars of their prison, and if they persist embodying the new self in thought, emotion, and action, their reality must eventually shift to reflect the freedom they've chosen. The contrast here is stark. On one side stands the old self, predictable, stagnant, heavy, carrying the baggage of the past. On the other side stands the new self, light, expansive, unbound, creating reality in alignment with possibility rather than limitation. The choice may feel difficult, but in truth, it is simple: remain in the old cell, or walk freely into a new life. And so the invitation is to notice, right now, where you may still be choosing the prison of the old identity. Are you replaying the same thought patterns each day? Are you reacting from the same emotions that keep you tethered to the past? Are you making choices that confirm the story you wish to escape? If so, recognize that this is not who you truly are. It is who you have been pretending to be. And the beautiful thing about pretending is that it can be dropped in an instant. Life is always asking you, will you keep being who you've always been, or will you dare to become who you are meant to be? One path leads to repetition, the other to transformation. One path clings to the familiar bars of the prison, the other steps into the freedom of the unknown. The prison of the old identity is powerful, yes, but it is only as powerful as your willingness to keep believing in it. The moment you decide to stop identifying with it, its walls dissolve like mist in sunlight. There is a saying that bridges both ancient wisdom and modern discovery: as within, so without. In the quiet language of spirituality, this means that the reality you live in is nothing more than the reflection of who you believe yourself to be. In the precise language of science, it means your brain and body are constantly reorganizing themselves to match your most repeated thoughts, feelings, and choices. When we bring these two worlds together, science and spirituality, we begin to see the profound truth. Identity is not only a story you tell about yourself, it is a biological, energetic, and quantum blueprint that your reality conforms to. Let us begin with the science. Neuroscience has revealed that the brain is not fixed but plastic. Every thought you think fires a network of neurons. Repeat that thought often enough and the pathway becomes stronger, more automatic, easier to access. This is why habits feel so natural and why change feels so difficult. The old identity is quite literally wired into your brain. If your identity has been "I am always anxious," then the neural pathways of anxiety are well-traveled highways, easy for the brain to follow. But when you begin to embody a new self, "I am calm, centered, and free," you are asking the brain to carve out new roads, new connections. At first it feels unnatural, but with practice, those new pathways strengthen until they become the dominant identity. The subconscious mind plays a powerful role here as well. From the moment you were born until around the age of 7, your brain operated mostly in theta waves, a deeply impressionable state. In that time, you absorb beliefs about yourself and the world without question. If you were told you were not enough, you carried it as truth. If you experienced scarcity, you internalized it as the nature of reality. These early imprints became the foundation of your identity, running silently in the background, shaping your choices, and coloring your perception of life. And because the subconscious does not distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined, when you begin to rehearse a new identity through visualization, affirmation, and emotional embodiment, the subconscious rewires. Science calls it neuroplasticity, spirituality calls it transformation. Both are pointing to the same miracle. Now let us turn to the spiritual lens, the deeper current beneath the science. Ancient teachings remind us that identity is not merely a psychological construct, it is energetic. Every thought vibrates, every belief emits a frequency, and the sum total of your identity radiates a signature that the universe responds to. This is where the principle of the quantum field enters. The field of infinite possibilities exists all around us, waiting to be collapsed into form. Which version of reality you experience depends on the frequency you are attuned to, and your frequency is set by your identity. If you see yourself as limited, you tune into the reality of limitation. If you embody yourself as abundant, you collapse the wave of abundance into particle form. Quantum physicists have long debated the role of the observer in shaping reality. When an electron is unobserved, it exists in a state of possibility, a wave. When it is observed, it collapses into a particle, a tangible form. In the same way, when you observe yourself through the lens of your old identity, you collapse into the same old reality. But when you begin to observe yourself differently, as a new self, the field responds. It reorganizes. Possibility shifts. Reality bends. This is not metaphor, it is law. Consider also the spiritual principle of the higher self. Beyond the ego, beyond the stories of lack and limitation, there exists a truer identity, your divine essence. This higher self already knows the reality you desire, because it lives outside of time, in the infinite now. When you cling to the old self, you block its guidance. But when you release the old identity and align with the frequency of your higher self, you begin to receive intuition, synchronicity, and opportunities that align with your chosen reality. Science calls it the reticular activating system, the brain's ability to filter information based on what it believes is important. Spirituality calls it divine alignment. Two languages describing one experience. When you change your sense of self, you begin to notice doors that were always there, waiting to be opened. Think of identity as a lens through which you view reality. If the lens is clouded with fear, everything appears threatening. If the lens is tinted with unworthiness, every opportunity looks like rejection waiting to happen. But when the lens is clear, aligned with your new self, you begin to see possibilities where before there were only walls. The external world has not changed, your perception has, and perception is creation, because you cannot act upon opportunities you cannot see. Real-life stories illustrate this truth beautifully. A woman once carried the identity of being a victim, shaped by years of abandonment and betrayal. Everywhere she went, reality reflected back her wounded self, relationships crumbled, jobs were unstable, trust was elusive. But when she began to reprogram her subconscious, to practice embodying the identity of someone worthy, whole and loved, her reality shifted. Within months, new friendships blossomed, a stable job appeared, and love found its way to her. The external changes seemed miraculous, but they were simply the mirror responding to the new self she chose to embody. Or consider a man who lived under the identity of scarcity. No matter how hard he worked, money slipped away. Life mirrored his belief that abundance was not for him. But when he dared to shift his identity to one of wealth consciousness, seeing himself as already abundant, feeling gratitude for every small flow, his external world transformed. Unexpected opportunities for income appeared. Debts dissolved, and financial ease began to unfold. Again, the shift began within. The outer followed the inner, as it always does. Science explains this as the interplay between thoughts, emotions, and actions. Spirituality explains it as vibration, frequency, and alignment. But the essence is the same. Identity is the root, reality is the fruit. Change the root, and the fruit must change. This is why techniques like visualization, scripting, and affirmations can be powerful but often fail. If you say, "I am wealthy," while still carrying the identity of someone poor, the subconscious rejects it. The vibration you emit is still one of lack. The quantum field does not respond to your word. It responds to your frequency. But when you embody the affirmation, when you feel it in your body as if it is already true, when you step into the actions of the new self, then science and spirit align, the subconscious accepts it as reality, and the field reorganizes to match. So, identity shifting is not about pretending. It is not about layering positive thoughts on top of negative self-concepts. It is about dissolving the old identity, with its worn-out neural pathways and outdated frequencies, and consciously choosing to embody the new. It is about rewiring the brain, reprogramming the subconscious, and aligning with the higher self all at once. Pause here and notice how both science and spirituality are whispering the same truth from different sides of the river. You are not fixed. Your identity is not permanent. You are not doomed to repeat the past. You are fluid, malleable, designed to evolve. The question is not whether you can shift, but whether you will allow yourself to. In the end, science gives us the how, the brain rewires, the subconscious reprograms, the body responds. Spirituality gives us the why. You are here to expand, to remember your true essence, to create consciously rather than unconsciously. Together they form a bridge that carries you from the prison of the old self to the freedom of the new, and when you step onto that bridge, when you dare to walk across it, you realize something profound. You are not merely changing your life, you are changing the very fabric of reality itself. Up until now, we have spoken of the old identity as a prison, and the new identity as the doorway to freedom. But knowing this truth is only the beginning. Transformation does not happen through understanding alone. It happens through embodiment. To embody the new self means to live as if it is already true, to breathe it into your being until it becomes second nature. It is not about waiting for the outer world to confirm who you are. It is about deciding who you are first, and allowing reality to align itself accordingly. The mistake many seekers make is waiting for evidence before they change. They say, when the money arrives, then I will feel abundant. When the relationship comes, then I will feel loved. When the opportunity appears, then I will feel confident. But this is the logic of the old identity. It is conditional, reactive, and rooted in the belief that reality must shift before you can. Embodying the new self means flipping that logic upside down. It means saying, I feel abundant now, and the money will follow. I feel loved now, and the relationship will appear. I feel confident now, and the opportunities will come. It is cause, not effect. Creation, not reaction. Begin with awareness. Ask yourself, who is the version of me that already lives in my desired reality? How do they think? How do they speak? How do they walk into a room? What choices do they make each day? Identity is not built in grand gestures. It is woven through the small decisions of daily life. If the old self reaches for distraction, the new self reaches for alignment. If the old self speaks with doubt, the new self speaks with clarity. If the old self shrinks back from opportunity, the new self steps forward with courage. One of the most powerful ways to practice embodiment is through visualization, not as a fantasy but as rehearsal. Close your eyes and imagine yourself already living as the new self. See the details of your surroundings, but more importantly, feel the emotions in your body. If your new self is abundant, feel the ease of wealth flowing through you. If your new self is deeply loved, feel the warmth of connection radiating in your chest. If your new self is confident, feel the strength in your posture, the steadiness of your voice. The subconscious mind does not know the difference between a vividly imagined state and a physical one. Each time you rehearse the new self, you are instructing the subconscious to accept it as truth. But visualization alone is not enough. Embodiment requires action. Begin to live as the new self even in small ways. If your new self is abundant, how would they handle money today? Even if you only have a few dollars in your wallet. If your new self is confident, how would they carry themselves in the next conversation? If your new self is healthy, what choice would they make at your next meal? These choices may seem small, but they accumulate. Each aligned action is a vote for the new self, and the more votes you cast, the stronger that identity becomes. Of course, the old self will resist. Doubts will rise. Fear will whisper, "You're pretending. You're faking. Who do you think you are?" This is natural. Because the nervous system is wired for familiarity. The old identity has been rehearsed for so long that the body believes it is safer, even if it is painful. Embodiment requires compassion in these moments. Instead of fighting the old self, acknowledge it. Say gently, I see you, I know you are afraid, but we are choosing differently now. In doing so, you honor the part of you that once believed it had to stay small, while still stepping into the vastness of your becoming. Breathwork and meditation are powerful allies in this process. When you calm the body and quiet the mind, you make space for the new identity to settle in. Each deep breath tells the nervous system, it is safe to expand, it is safe to change. Over time, your body learns to relax into the energy of the new self, rather than clinging to the survival patterns of the old. Another practice is scripting. Take pen to paper and write as if you are already the new self. Describe your day, your thoughts, your experiences from the perspective of the reality you are creating. Do not write as though you hope it will come, write as though it has already arrived. I wake up each morning feeling energized and grateful. My work flows with ease and brings me joy. I am surrounded by love and abundance. The act of writing engages the conscious mind, while simultaneously impressing the subconscious with the new story. Over time, the story becomes your identity, and the identity becomes your reality. Pay attention also to language. The words you speak about yourself reinforce identity. If you constantly say, I'm always broke, I'm terrible at relationships, I'm not confident, you are affirming the old self. Shift your language to match the new identity. Speak as the version of you who is already there. I am learning to trust myself. I am becoming more confident each day. Abundance flows easily into my life. Language is both a reflection and a creator of identity. Use it wisely, and it will reshape the way you see yourself. One of the greatest challenges of embodiment is patience. The outer reality often lags behind the inner shift. You may feel like the new self, but still see traces of the old reality around you. Do not mistake this delay for failure. Imagine turning a massive ship in the ocean. The wheel turns instantly, but the ship takes time to follow. Your identity is the wheel. Your reality is the ship. If you keep holding the wheel steady, the ship will eventually align with your new direction. So, stay consistent, keep rehearsing, keep acting, keep speaking as the new self. The universe is listening. Your subconscious is adapting. Your nervous system is recalibrating. Each day you embody the new self, the old one grows weaker. Until one day it dissolves completely, and you realize that you no longer have to force the new self, you simply are. And here lies the most profound truth. Embodiment is not about becoming someone you are not. It is about remembering who you truly are beneath the layers of conditioning, fear, and false stories. The new self is not foreign. It is your natural state. The joy, the abundance, the love you are seeking have always been within you. Embodiment is simply the process of letting go of what is not you, so that what is you can finally shine. When you embody the new self, you stop chasing reality and begin magnetizing it. You stop pleading with life to change and begin watching as life eagerly rearranges itself to reflect your new frequency. This is the power of alignment. This is the essence of manifestation. This is the freedom of stepping fully into the self you were always destined to become. We have journeyed together through the landscape of identity, from the prison of the old self to the possibility of the new. And now, as we arrive at this moment, let us pause and remember the simple truth that has been woven through every word: reality will not change until you do. The outer world is not a stubborn enemy holding you back. It is a faithful mirror, patiently reflecting the self you bring into it. Change the self, and the reflection must follow. Think back to the metaphor of the mirror. You cannot wait for it to smile first. You must smile, and then the reflection shifts. In the same way, you cannot wait for life to hand you evidence before you decide to transform. The evidence will only come once you choose, once you embody, once you dare to step across the threshold into the new self. This is the power you carry right now, not tomorrow, not someday, but in this very breath. Understand this: your old identity has done its job. It kept you safe when you didn't know better. It gave you structure when you needed it. But it is not who you truly are. You are not the story of your past. You are not the echo of old fears. You are not the repetition of outdated beliefs. You are the awareness behind it all, the consciousness that has the power to decide anew. When you release the old identity, you do not lose yourself, you uncover yourself. You remember the truth of who you have always been. So let this moment be a gentle but firm invitation. Ask yourself, what identity am I willing to release today? What mask have I worn for too long? What story have I told myself so often that I began to mistake it for truth? And then ask, who is the self I am ready to embody? Who is the version of me that already lives in alignment with my highest reality? Feel that version in your body, breathe it into your chest, let it ripple through every cell. This is not pretending. This is creating. This is choosing. As you walk forward from here, you will still feel the tug of the old self. That is natural. But now you know that the old identity has no power unless you grant it. Each thought, each choice, each breath is an opportunity to cast a vote for the self you are becoming. And the more votes you cast, the stronger that identity becomes until it is no longer a practice but simply who you are. So step into your life with courage. Smile at the mirror first. Speak the words of your new self. Move as though the reality you desire is already here, because in truth it is. The quantum field has already prepared it for you. Your higher self is already living it. All that remains is for you to meet it through your embodiment. And as you do, you will discover something extraordinary. Reality bends for those who dare to change. The universe rearranges for those who release the old. Life becomes miraculous for those who stop being who they once were and finally embody who they are meant to be. You are ready. The old identity is complete. The new self is here. Step forward. The door is open. The choice is yours.